Nick here. Thanks for stopping by. I just wanted to make a really quick video about what happens next once you've received your diagnosis and you've filled out all of your checklists for things to do to be eligible for a transplant and you start getting a little bit healthier. Obviously, if you're anything like me, the next thing is what happens next. I had a slew of requirements that I needed to meet before I could even be eligible to be considered for a transplant. These things included certain types of vaccinations, ultrasounds, fibroscans, lots of blood work. I had to attend an IOP program, which stands for Intensive Outpatient. It's a recovery program for people that have struggled with alcohol. It's not just for somebody who's looking for a transplant or to meet those kinds of requirements. It's available for anybody who's struggling with alcohol or any kind of addiction or substance issues. So I would encourage you to research that, even if you're not having health issues but are struggling with substance abuse. IOP are great programs, especially if you're not able to do an inpatient type program where you have to go away and live in a recovery center for a month or so. So what happens is I completed that IOP. It took me about 5 months. I completed all of my protocols, alcohol testing, again with ultrasounds, surgeries, had colonoscopies, endoscopies, upper and lower, just all kinds of different things that search for bleeding, or do you have any varices vein issues around your liver. So there's a whole lot of stuff that they kind of want you to get balanced out. Also, they try to make sure that your kidneys are in great shape. If your kidneys aren't in good shape, they're not going to be able to work on your liver, because everything really begins and ends right there, because that's your last body filter. Kidneys aren't working, you're going to go septic, your liver is going to continue to get worse and worse. So there are a lot of things to take into account other than just your liver in and of itself. So what happens in my case, I am obviously still going to have this disease, and I'm going to have it for the rest of my life. So once you're kind of balanced, or as balanced as your body will allow you to be, you begin kind of a monitoring type stage, which every 3 months to 6 months, depending on your situation and your physician's requirements, they'll have you tested for blood work. They'll have your ultrasounds completed. They'll review that information. If there are any changes, they'll make adjustments to your medications or your diet, anything that's needed. They'll also evaluate if there are any other options other than transplant. Obviously, if you can avoid it, you really want to, because it's going to be, the recovery process physically is months and months. It's a very, very intense, it's a very long surgery. It can go anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, depending. So it's a crazy amount of trauma that your body would go under. So there are lots of other options. They call it a TIPS, T-I-P-S surgery. They also might get hematology and oncology involved, because those are your cancer providers. It is very common, or not very common, it's not uncommon, shall we say, if you suffer from cirrhosis, to end up developing cancer of the liver, which, if that happens, then we bring in another medical team. So you'll have your GI, your hepatobiliary, your cancer providers, your family physician, your nephrologist, everybody communicating. So I would really, again, encourage everyone that if you have all of these providers, to find a way to get not them necessarily synced up with each other, but find a good method for you to be able to make sure that they have each other's information each time you meet with them. Now, typically it's just as easy as, if you're having blood work done at any of your physician's office, you can just give them a list of providers and say, can you please fax them this information? That's also a huge plus. Providers really, really like for you to do that, because it shows engagement. It shows that you are very, very invested in your personal health and are committed to working with them just as hard as they'll be willing to work with you. So that's very, very, very important. They are not going to necessarily put a liver in you, a new one, just because you need it. If there is a highly likelihood that you're going to return to alcohol, or you're just not physically taking care of yourself, your diet is like shit, you're not watching your sodium or intake, those really, really harm your chances. Because the fact of the matter is, if you just show up at a hospital and have had no preparation ahead of time and you need a liver right then or within the next couple of days, or you're going to die, there's a very, very good chance that you're going to die. There are so many things that go into account. You used to think it was just as simple as blood type. It's not just that simple. What's the rarity of your blood type? What is the size of the liver? How much does the liver weigh? What is the accessibility to it? How far away is it? Do you have to travel? Where is the surgery going to be done? So there's a lot of things that come into play. So once you're somewhat balanced out, it's very important to maintain exactly what they recommend that you do. I'm one of those people that hates having things hanging over my head. I hate uncertainty. And so, I want answers. I want to know, am I being listed? Or they call it activated. A lot of people say waiting list. There's not a literal long list. They call it being activated once you've completed all your protocols and now you're in need of that transplant. So that's just some of the terminology that I had to get used to hearing. Now, as far as those overhanging unanswered questions, I kept saying, what are we doing? What are the next steps? The next step for me is keep on living, keep on doing what I'm doing. As we start to notice things start to change, we can head them off at the pass, make medication adjustments and different things like that. So that eventually, once all of those stop taking into effect, we've dotted all of our I's, crossed all of our T's, and are ready to move and look for a match. So again, as long as you are being balanced, you're still going to be disabled. There are still going to be a lot of things that you're not able to do, but you can keep on living, and that's really the ultimate goal. So if you can get yourself in that spot and put off a transplant, that's awesome. There are some very, very big risks when you go under the knife for that long. So that's all I had today. Again, just some encouragement and just some FYIs. Hopefully you guys are finding this helpful. Again, if you have any other topics, just list them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to go over them to the best of my knowledge. Also, in the description, there is a link to my Facebook page for end-stage liver disease and support. It says East Tennessee, but it's not limited to East Tennessee. That just happens to be where I'm from. If you want some information, just shoot me an invite and you're in. All right. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good day.